Hey Ines, how you been?
Hello, Thor. So great to see you. And it's rather nice that we're doing this on video.
Yes, it is,
Always
isn't
these
it?
voices from beyond. I think
Mm,
it's nice to put a sort of a face to the voice and what we're talking about. So
mm.
great to see you. Obviously, you've had a brilliant week.
Yeah, it's been a really good week. Working with some clients. Good as work has been good. Was it this week or last week where it snowed? I mean, it feels like it's been sunnier this week somehow. Has
Yeah,
it been
yeah, it has
sunnier
been
this week?
sunny. Yes, it has been sunnier. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it has been sunnier. No, I think it was last week, last Friday or something like that.
Yeah, it was last Friday. 'Cause we talked about the snow last Friday, didn't we?
Yes, I think so. Being right on the ball. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, time at the moment seems so strange, isn't it? Because it's like, I mean, I rarely leave this room, so it's just like time just sort of goes into this
Yeah, it's
one big thing.
yes, cocooned in yes in this void.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I think that's wonderful. Yes, I've had a good week as well with clients and just people in general. A lot of people seem to be looking for things, even if they're not interested, say, in spiritual link or that type of an area. Everyone seems to be looking for an explanation for their existence or an explanation. Why is this happening?
Yeah.
Without the proverbial physical pointing the finger, say at China or anything that we can all agree on and point the fingers. But there's more to it than just, I think, just China or anything else. But a lot of people are just reflecting
Yeah.
on their role in life,
Yeah.
and also on why life and so on and so sorry. I'm just shuffling around. I think this is makes everything very human, doesn't it, on video? Yes,
It definitely
that's right.
it
Yes.
definitely does. But I think let's pull on that thread though, because I think that's an interesting one to think about, which is like, why are we here? You know, the question of that. I think that's such a I think that, I mean, that is the old age philosophical question that everyone has asked themselves, right? Why are we here? And I think, yeah, the crisis of COVID has obviously seems to have brought this to the forefront of a lot of people's minds.
Certainly has, and it's the one huge question that has always been with all of the intellects as well. What is the reason for our being here? What is the reason for our existence? And
Mm,
no one can actually give us an answer because everyone finds their own answer. We all have our own different forms of interpretation. Everything is so very individual. But therefore, what we're just talking about, everyone has to build their own form of a communication system, which is called, let's say it's a bridge. What I chatted to you just briefly before we went online is communication, and how we perceive things, how we uh, move through books that we read, articles or discussions. It is still that communication between ourselves and spirit. So right at the beginning, when we really went through meditation bit by bit, that is the communication we are building. And then we call it ESP, clairvoyance, sand readings. It's still communication. But also within that communication, when that capsule of knowledge is still open, I'm talking about now young children, we're surrounded, we have to be with our families. So when that capsule of knowledge from another existence is still open, of course, children are very aware because they haven't long been from spirit. And of course, over time, as we grow up and we get older, uh, that previous experience from spirit wears off and we become anxious, depressed, and so on. But children, pussycats as well, dogs too, but mainly pussycats and small children, they can see things. Oh, look, mommy, what is that? It's because they haven't been tainted with worries of money or, where they're going to live and so on. But yeah, it's the bridge that we're building. And that's actually, I thought, should be our theme for today, the bridge, because of the many just chats I've had. No one necessarily asking me directly, but God, I wonder why. But what's it all about? Why is it necessary? And I think from what you're saying, Thor, it's the same thing has also applied to yourself and your clients, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly that. And I suppose the communication that you are talking about is the bridge of communication that we can establish with spirit and ourself and so on and so
That's
forth, right?
that's right. It's we're bridging the gap between the physical and the spiritual. And what we need to do before we bridge that gap, always we need to build that bridge. Symbolically speaking, has to be a bridge, and any bridge has to be built brick upon brick before the bridge can be strong enough to take the passage, whatever passage is across, one brick at a time, not one in the middle. And that's what we were also talking about with the meditation. So this bridge of communication has to be built right from the foundations. So as we, I'm not hopping around, but this bridge, of course, when we were discussing visualized meditation, with the concentrated visualization, we step into another boundary, we step into another dimension. And just trust me, there are so many different dimensions within that boundary. But within each dimension, we're actually able to reach deeper situations of understanding, what we were talking about just now. But this understanding that comes from each of us individually through our own interpretation helps us to cope and to be, let's say, more comfortable with the alterations to the directions within our life. And many of these alterations, Thor, we can't help it. One company's gone, we lose our job. Has nothing to do with competence. It's just not there anymore. And where do you begin looking? When the interviews are all remote. You know, when people can't actually face you and see the individual who's sitting in front of you. But change, of course, in life is a certainty. It will always happen, and it must happen. And whatever these changes are, all will have been for a purpose. And this all will have been for a purpose is something that we need to hang on to a little bit. It's vaguely ambiguous. It's a nothingness. They're only words. But with a concentrated visualization, we do get a feeling of what that purpose might be. It's not just you have to learn to let go, or you have to learn to do this. It's something much deeper than that, and we can get hold of it. But the understanding of this purpose can only come through the mind, which is also the sole method to find that peace and heaven within, which we talk about. And this concentration, of course, we're talking about the meditation that we feel works very, very well for, and say 90% of the individuals we come across. But that concentration can also be with chimes, it can be music, it can be chanting, it can be breathing, all manner of situations can produce a state of meditation, you see. But that is the beginning of building this bridge, or this bridge between the physical and the spiritual. And once this bridge is built, we can utilize that bridge for many different areas of our life, many different areas, which I will certainly go into. But in this particular case, we wish to bridge the gap between spirit and mankind. That is ourselves, of course. But once we bridge that gap, there also has to be an internal bridge. And that bridge is between ourselves and our own spiritual selves within. That also needs a bridge. And that bridge, let's say I can say, is that gut reaction what we get, or that feeling of, okay, yeah, I got to do this. It's right. Everyone says wrong, but you have to do it. That is our internal bridge, because that spiritual link, that spirit within us, understands more about the needs of our physical life. It doesn't mean It will write us a check to ease all problems of our mind. But what it does do, it gives us the strength, the creativity in order to make things happen. We come up with that light bulb moment where things change. That is then the internal bridge. The external bridge between spirit, let us say, guiding forces. I know many people are able to rely on, say, relations and so on. I'm not discussing the differences. I'm discussing just the gap. That is then a guidance that comes from that complete overall power force. God, universal consciousness, it's a name, but it comes from that totalness that then comes through the guiding systems. But of course, spirit also needs that ability to reach you. So in a conventional development group, there are exercises, and those exercises highlight your ability, not only from the sixth sense type of perspective, which is very physical, highlights your ability to actually understand how your guidance is able to connect with you. So if you're seeing red and somebody is sending green, I know colors is yet another huge, wonderful subject, but are you perceiving green because you think it's green? Where is that connection that the guide is desperately trying to reach you? So that is also very, very necessary for them to reach you. And these little exercises that are done, sand readings, psychometry, even regression, extrasensory perception, healing, so what you feel, blah, blah, blah. It's a showcase. Because the first thing in all of this is the need for us as human beings, as physical human beings, is to live as best a quality of our life as is possible. And that guidance tries to direct and gear us and move us into an area that is best suited for us, for our fulfillment, as well as for our karmic fulfillment. So once we've meditated, once the bridge has been built, then the ability to communicate has been established. We have to make the bridge stronger, more elaborate. So let's take extrasensory perception. I am sending a color. One little bridge. Let's make that bridge a little bit stronger. We'll have a shape. And within that shape will be a color. We get that very well down pat. Then what about we will start sending animals? There are lots of animals. And you do that correctly. Then perhaps flowers, all manner of situations. That is then building the bridge stronger. Or we take psychometry, the reading of inanimate objects, such as grandmama's wedding ring. Not just to pick up because it's a small gold band. Yes, it's a wedding ring. But are you able to move into the auric pattern of that little ring and get the communication from the guiding forces as to they got engaged at the seaside, or the ring came out of a cracker because there was no money? All of those situations, she was lively or he was lively, whatever it is, that is then a more elaborate bridge that we are building. So it's a better bridge, more spacious for different areas of communication. Different areas communication, then jump into the field of we have to live. Your job. Maybe you're starting a new company. What is the logo? What color schemes? That same communication is then utilized for our business, many other things, and that would come through a guiding force. The bridge, of course, itself will never be perfect because there is no perfection in man. There can't be. But what can happen, each and every brick, each and every facet of improvement opens up everything that is needed for you, for your life, for now. And sometimes we also get a glimpse of for tomorrow, for next year, that little bit. But each little improvement, and that bridge is improved through the daily administration of concentrated visualization. This elaboration and let us say, and making a bridge bigger and stronger comes in time naturally with a concentrated visualization that we have recommended to you as well. It's a natural progression because you want it. Now then, these bridges, we're talking about bridges from spirit to man. And then we're talking about the bridge, the internal bridge. So important. It's the one that I'm always relying on my gut reaction. Great. Exercises will help substantiate your claim to fame through your gut reactions. So that is very important. Anyway, in real life, some of the bridges are quite elaborate. They can take many rows of cars, trains, all at the same time. But the bridge had to be very basic at first and then elaborated. And that is very much how it is with spirit. Concentration, easygoing, feelings of opening, the ability maybe to see. The inner seeing is also, it's a misnomer. It's an inner sight. You see, you feel, you smell, but maybe not like you would myself or Thor. It's a different sensation of sight, but it's still called seeing. And also the ability to utilize, with the help of the guides, anything that is necessary within your life. All we need to do is just to ask, please help. Literally, please help. You don't have to elaborate. By saying please help from ourselves, the only thing that it does, it already substantiates our need for guidance and the acceptance of that guidance. And that again, we have that light bulb moment. Oh, never thought of that. Of course, why not? Sometimes when we're so anxious, so frazzled, so lonely, so heartbroken, we don't see anything that's in front of us anymore. And we forget many of the situations that really, truly might help us. So the methods, of course, as I said, in a conventional group, the exercises are only there for you to test whether or not you have that connection. Not only, there's a little bit more to that, of course, but the methods could be clairvoyance, sand readings, as I said, psychometry, what else is there? Of course, a pendulum, all manner of situations. The pendulum as well is guided by spirit. It's guided, even though it's only yes or no answer, but the reason, now this again, the reason for all of this is so that the guides are not able to take control. We are not puppets. We are not meant to be puppets. We have free will. We can go another direction. We don't have to follow any suggestions, but it is still to try to influence our individuality, to go in accordance to our karmic pattern, and to make life as bearable and as happy, which is our God-given right, happiness, as is possible. That is the primary object. So if we need help, I don't know about yourself, but if I need help with something, I go to someone, say, who is in contact with spirit, perhaps a clairvoyant or medium. And this individual would then be able to bring forward that comfort, the sustenance of answers or whatever, to yourself. And that is why these individuals are there. These individuals are there for you, to help. And they are not there for the ego of that particular personality, whether it is healing, whether it is clairvoyance, whether it is mediumship, whether I am here talking to you. It is not for my ego. It is to help others. Because then, let us say, through that information, through the maybe through the exercises or whatever, you would know, you become aware and accept that there is another force outside of us that is able to help, does help, that is not judgmental, it does not criticize. And because of that, possibly that person would then flower in and bloom into their own interest of becoming, let us say, a medium or a psychic or a guru or a wellness coach, anything like that. That's why all of us are here, because you know then that it is there. There is that possibility, because you've certainly have had proof of that. Before I go on, Thor, what do you think of that?
Well, I think you there's something which I've been thinking a lot about over the last few days, and it resonates a lot what you've just been saying. And I suppose what's quite interesting about the idea of going to see a medium or a psychic or a tarot reader and so on and so forth is that that's really interesting and really helpful. But I suppose with the meditation, what we can do by building that bridge is that we can actually find a lot of those answers for ourselves, even
Yes.
without going to see a clairvoyant or a medium. We can actually, through our own practice and diligence, build that philosophy for life by ourselves and find those answers by ourselves, which I think
Absolutely.
is really interesting and really true, right?
Absolutely, because sometimes our darkest hour is at night.
Yeah.
When nothing is open.
Yeah.
And then what do? By diligently practicing this concentrated visualization, by having established a habit in our minds, say we are in this darkest hour, we can actually find a form of, let us say, a routine within our mind that allows us to find a little bit of peace when everything is in turmoil, when we only see darkness, gloom, and mayhem around us. Because we've established a routine in our mind, it works better. So once a person finds their chosen type of meditation, stick to it. There are zillions of beautiful meditations, different forms. But in the end, we can only eat one meal. We can only do one meditation and stick to that. Then the mind will get used to it. The power of spirit get used to it. And then we begin to work with it as well. So absolutely, that's right. But you see, even now, time's always been measured, either through crops or the solar eclipses and so on and so forth. And we've just left the beginning of another year behind us. So January is quickly coming to an end. But the feeling and the thought of what is going to happen in the new year is still very strong with us. I spoke to a friend today, God, they're planning, hoping, keep fingers crossed, maybe on a break, on a holiday. But what you want to do is still there with us. Why you want to do it, and even how you plan to do it, is still very much part of our mindset, because the 2020 is only just gone. By concentrating on this year, 2021, other thoughts will also come into the mind, such as, how many years are there to come for me? Am I going to die? I mean, death is all around us. The possibility of death is more so than ever, isn't it? How many more years are there for me? And that's not just age. What is life? What is the purpose of my life? Anybody's life. What we need to do at all times is to fashion our life as to what is there, what have we got now right in front of us, and not what we think there might be. I know people who actually have told me they have paid a generous deposit on a holiday. And they said to me, it makes them feel better to think that they might be going. Guess what? At this moment, we're not going anyplace like that. But on the other hand, I beg to differ, because I think we're going a hell of a lot of places. I never would have, because I ran groups, as you know, Thor, in a lovely environment in South Bank. I never would have thought that I would be podcasting, because there's social distancing. Things change. Go with the flow. And it will work. There's a purpose for everything. You know, sometimes we feel, I do want to add this bit to the concentrated visualization. Sometimes out of nowhere, nothing different has happened to our day. We all of a sudden feel happy. We feel really good. Ooh, where did that come from? You know, quickly go through the things of what might have happened that are really good, that you want are good, but it's not. After the meditation, after you close before you close your chakrams, send out healing. Don't list on your shopping list of family. Send it out to the world, to every living being that is going through hardship. Send it out, and each one of us, with our mind open as we are now with this podcast, we'll take a little tiny drop of that. And that will give us the strength to go into meditation. Let's see what's going to happen. It won't be in so many words. A trumpet will not sound in your ears whatsoever, but it comes from deep inside. You will know, you will feel, and you know that things will go on. And you will also have that inkling behind your mind that what we're coming to might actually be better than what we left behind. We don't know. And also in this communication, of course, we easily get to the memories of all time. Memories is the structure of life. We remember before COVID started. Oh, we did this, we did that. And we can go much, much further back as well. It's not just a matter of remembering the bad times, but also very much the good times, or only remembering the good times and not appreciating the difficult times we have gone through, how we coped, how we managed. That is also in our memory bank of all time. So through the meditation, through the guidance, through the communication, of course, we're also able to get a glimpse, to get a feel of the memories of all time, which will support the total function of our life now as well. So when we let that meditation, we have a dusty road, opening the chakras, relax, breathe, opening dusty road, and then we come to a stream. In that stream, we cup our hands, the water flows into the stream of life, into your hands, and for a second, you can get a glimpse of another time, another lifetime. And the guides have the ability, when they're able to reach you, to give you that glimpse within a second of time, so that you know you can and you will move forward. You will not go under. And if in these areas of despair, the mind is our means to that heaven and that peace, not because we're the emperor's new clothes. Oh, yes, everybody shout. Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. You don't have to shout with anybody else, but only beat to your own drums, to your own music, to your own rhythm of life. So let's see. Okay.
So on that, just want to remind people that we do have, I think it's think it's 2 recorded meditations. If people jump onto either Apple, Spotify, I think those are the 2 places that we've got our meditations. Also on YouTube, you can go back and you can find the recorded meditations that Ines and I have done and listen again. Because I suppose the essence of this episode is that really the foundation, the starting point is to get the meditation going habitually every day.
Absolutely. Beginning, middle, and end. We can never do enough.
Yeah.
And it
Exactly.
doesn't take an hour, 5 minutes,
Yeah.
10 minutes when it
Yeah.
suits.
Yeah. Yeah. And because like you said, in the middle of the night, we won't be able to call a medium. We won't be able to even call a psychologist, maybe,
Not even a friend necessarily. There you
Exactly.
are alone. Yeah.
So to have built that bridge with your spiritual self, with your spiritual guide, can find a bit of solace in the middle of the night, right? Because it's just become a habit to have
Yes.
done that. So I really appreciate the sentiment of that.
But I just made a mistake in what I just said. You are alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
That is a misnomer because we can't see. We can't touch somebody next to us. Doesn't mean we're alone.
Mm.
And if through the meditation, it will verify it to you in your own individual way. When we start talking to people about their meditation, what they see, it varies so much.
Yeah.
Never be fooled about people traveling around the universe and there you are stuck in your bed, in your chair. You are not moving. So you think, what am I doing wrong? Maybe it's your way.
Yeah.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, and I mean, like I can testament to my meditation has changed dramatically over the last 8 years.
Oh, absolutely. And even now, if I'm really sorry, people, and if I'm really flustered, I have a hard time. I start from the bases.
Yeah.
And there's a hoo-hoo, SOS.
Yeah. Come in, please. Great.
Yes, that's right. Everybody there.
So what's the positive message that we're gonna leave our listeners with this week?
Okay. Life isn't about waiting for the rain, for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain.
Love it. Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ines, for another Friday. That was brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you too, Thor. And any questions, anybody wants extra information, you also do meditations, Thor. You just ask us.
Yeah.
Because we're working together as a team.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And welcome back next week. We'll be posting more content.
Wonderful.